Yo, it's your boy Corey B again. We're gonna talk about the worst four-letter word. The worst four-letter word to me is the word can't. Can't. Man, I was taught about this from the time I could talk. My mom told me we would literally get in trouble if we said can't, as if we had said a swear word. It was literally like the worst thing that we could say. Mom grew up with a lot of different things, right? She grew up with, first of all, just different time frame, different, generational things that, they dealt with back then. There was lots of things that Mom experienced that, I would never experience. She grew up with her grandmother who was really strict. And when she was a teenager, she was pulled out of school because she had an illness that they couldn't diagnose. It took them multiple tries before they were able to diagnose her with Crohn's. They diagnosed her with Crohn's, and then back in the 60s and early 70s, they still didn't essentially know what it was. So the doctor said, well, we'll figure it out, And they just tried things based on certain symptoms she was having. Like, hey, let's try this, let's try that. And they went through countless different efforts, Mom's testimony is incredible because it just made her resilient. It made her strong. It made her the toughest woman I've ever known. Just on a different level. She just had a different level of perseverance and endurance. She was just strong. They told my mom she would never have kids. I'm the oldest of three. They said she'd never be able to do any kind of physical activity, athletics. They said her body wouldn't be able to handle it. She was a leader for my Boy Scout troop. She was one of the leaders. She did countless hikes with us, camped outside. My mom, with fragile, brittle bones, she broke bones without even trying, without even doing anything, just doing normal stuff. And yet this is a woman who got out there and roughed it on a different level. Slept on the ground in the woods. She was assistant coach for my brother's football team when he was in 7th grade. She was the assistant coach at the youth center. She was also an assistant coach for my sister's cheerleading squad. This is a lady who was just determined that her illness was never going to hold her back. And she saw me, and I remember, like I said, from the time I learned to talk, she just looked at me and she would tell me, there was nothing that I wasn't able to do. Just a matter of if it was what I wanted to. She also, as I got older and older, and when I went through high school and when I was trying to, plan what I was going to do with my life, and you have these things in high school. They did it once in middle school, but they start doing it more regularly in high school. It's like, you meet with your guidance counselor. What do you want to do with your life? You fill out these little questionnaires and stuff. And it's like starting to make a plan for whether you're going to go to college. And if you're going to go to college, what are you going to go to college for? And my mom never really pushed me towards anything. She just knew I was going to figure it out. She just believed. She had this amazing confidence and belief in me. She didn't think she had to push me. But she had these little ways of pushing me without pushing me, which was just, to me, invaluable and immeasurable. Just amazing. Just like the idea that I wasn't allowed to say the word can't. As a guy in business, I went to school for psychology. I actually went to school. I ended up going to the University of Texas for psychology. And I had different plans of what I was going to do with it too. And as I went further in my degree plan, my plans changed. and they went off a little this way or that way, but I learned so much. It was so incredible. It was one of the most amazing experiences of my life going through that process. In business, things are different, right? Because in business, you have a bottom line. You have goals, right? So you hear that word can't thrown around, right? And see, I've been taught that's not okay. I was taught, like I said, that that's unacceptable. It's just not. And so when I look at things in business, now there's things you shouldn't do. There's things maybe you might want to reevaluate. But to say that you just can't do it? Nah. See, that doesn't compute to a guy like me. It doesn't make sense. If there's anything you can do, it's just a matter of whether you should. Whether it's going to be most viable, most efficient, most productive, most profitable, most beneficial for your overall goal. So that's what I want to break things down to, is like, what direction are you really taking things to, right? Because I'm a fan of the show Shark Tank. I like it. I got into it mostly because I knew O'Leary. I mean, not personally, but I've been a fan of Kevin O'Leary. Been a fan of Damon John. Been rocking FUBU since high school. And I knew his story. I loved his story. His story was just dope. And I'm a Texas boy, so I've been a fan of loudmouth Mark Cuban. I love that he's, and you see people look at him and that he's a loudmouth, like as if it's negative. I mean, he's gotten loud at times, and you know, in sports and athletics, there's a lot of testosterone being thrown around, and there's a lot of egos being thrown around, and from time to time, yeah, things can get out of turn, right? But when it comes down to it, he's a smart man. He's a smart man. He's a genuine man, and he's got direction when it comes to business. So, like I said, I started watching it because I'm a fan of those three guys, and it was super awesome that they were on it, and the different people on there. I learned and figured out who the other people were over time, but I knew who those three were, and I was just so excited to watch. Right, I was like, this is gonna be cool, dude. And I love business, and I love these three dudes. Okay, well, Kevin O'Leary, he's incredibly smart man. Brilliant, absolutely. He's got incredibly smart business mind. And it's because he looks at things in a particular way. He looks at things real simple. Money. That's what it comes down to. He loves his money, and he wants to go to sleep with more than he woke up with. Pretty simple. I woke up with this much money. I'm going to go to bed. I better have more. Whatever I did today better turn out to be more money than I woke up with. In business, that's a pretty solid plan. Now, with a lot of people, what you get into is conflicts of interest, right? Like that idea that, what are you willing to sacrifice to make that dollar, right? What are you willing to do to make that money, right? As you're trying to grow your business, are you willing to compromise certain things? Like if you've ever watched the show, different people come in there with their ideas, just people like you, like me, like just random, just guys, right? Just different moms, dads, husbands, wives, just random people who decided that they wanted to build something for their family. And they go on to the show, right? And they present their business, their idea, their whatever, you know, they present it, plead their case and say, give me some money, invest so that way I can get to where I want to be, right? Sometimes they'll be told by one of the sharks, right? They'll be told like, hey, you got this good idea, right? Or you got this good product, but maybe the name doesn't really work. It doesn't catch people's attention. the marketing doesn't work. Or maybe you're trying to do it online and it needs to maybe not be online. Maybe it needs to be in person. Or you're trying to do it all in a brick and mortar facility, but it should be online. Maybe it should be direct to consumer, maybe not retail. And the thing is sometimes people get into this situation where they're like, they don't want to compromise themselves. They don't want to compromise their goal, their drive, their ambition. They're like, I don't want to, I had this plan. I knew this is what I always wanted to do. I was going to do that. And so that's what I'm striving for. I don't want to compromise that. Well, that is what is not working for me. You know, one of the sharks, some of them, sometimes all of them. And so when it comes down to it, it's like, well, are you willing to compromise a little here and there to make that money? Now, see, O'Leary is someone who will frequently compromise. And if you watch the show, it kind of doesn't seem like he does. Because he's real firm and he's real strict and he can kind of be abrasive at times. But if you ever really listen to him, or if you watch him in interviews, or like I said, even if you just watch the show and you just pay attention to the way he approaches things, the things he says, and the manner in which he says it, he's got a lot of compromise in him. He's passionate about certain things. He's passionate about wine. He's passionate about his watches. Mine's not a fancy watch. It's a cool watch. My son got me this. He got me for Christmas because it's a Dwight watch. It's the one that Dwight Schrute wears on The Office. So he saw it and got it for me. But the thing is he's passionate about certain things like that, right? Watches, wine. But he's passionate about making money. And he's willing to compromise about that. Like, people will come in with something for babies, and he's like, hey, I'm not really into this, but will it make me money? Okay, if it'll make me money, I'm in. You know? So he invests in things that maybe aren't really his. He's invested in beverages, he's invested in foods, he's invested in restaurants, he's invested in so many different things because ultimately the overall goal is, will it make him money? Now, a lot of us have a line that we draw. And that's fine. You know, Cuban's got lines that he draws. Herzvek, he's got lines that he draws. Most people have lines that they draw. They say, you know what? That's just not really my area. That's not my area of expertise. It's not really something I would ever use, so I can't buy into it. I would never use it, so I can't put money towards it. I can't invest in your company. Okay. Well, frequently, O'Leary's got these stipulations for people. And he'll tell people, you can't. See, he used that word. He's like, you can't do this and make money. You can't do this and be profitable. You can't do this. Like, he'll give them that suggestion. Like, hey, you know what? You've decided. I remember there was one time where there was this company, it was these girls, and they had this food truck, and they wanted to turn it into a restaurant. The food truck was successful. And all of the sharks agreed that, you know what? Turning this into a restaurant is a horrible idea. You're making money. You're making bank. And it's going to cost 10 times more to start a restaurant than it will to add just 4 more trucks. You could add trucks for a fraction of the cost that you could build this restaurant, right? And they knew that they wanted to build that restaurant. They're like, that's what our goal is. We're not compromising that. And the sharks being firm, because it's their money that they're trying to invest, right? And saying, we're not investing in that, right? You're doing this inefficiently. This is not the way it's going to be efficient. It's not going to be productive. You're not going to make the money that you want to make. So we don't want to invest right now. This is not what we want to buy into. That's completely reasonable, and absolutely everybody should think that way. You should not invest in something that you don't believe in or that you think isn't hitting the marks that you want to hit, right? But to say that you can't, and see, that's where me and O'Kev have that disagreement, right? Because he will throw that word out there so often because he's so firm in his belief. He's so firm in his belief, knowing what is successful, what is productive. And he's not wrong in the fact that he knows success and he knows what it's going to take to get to this level or to that level or whatever. He's aware of these different things and the things that work in, you know, different states, different economic structures. What it comes down to, though, is just the idea that somebody else isn't able to tell you what you can do. You shouldn't allow someone else to tell you. Yeah, see, that's what it comes down to. Anybody can do anything. Anybody can say anything. Anybody can put all this out there. Just like O'Leary. My man can get out there and he can have his opinion. He can share his thoughts. He can say what he wants to say. And he can absolutely tell you that, you know what? You continuing to try to take your business in this direction, you can't do that. I love this phrase that he says, this phrase. This is where money goes to die. He says, and he says, I can't allow you to kill this money. Like, he can say that. He could say that. He could say that. That's his opinion. That's his thoughts. That's his feelings about it. But at the end of the day, what's it really matter? What's it really come down to? You got to take these things within perspective. If you're asking someone to invest in your business, if you're asking someone to invest in your concept, your idea, your plan, whatever, then absolutely their opinions are going to carry a little bit of weight because you're asking them to put in on it, right? Now, if you say you're bringing it to a friend or a family member or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And you're like, hey, check this out. I got this idea. Been working on this. I'm about to launch this. This is what it's going to cost me. This is what I'm going to do. This is, you know, and you're just breaking down the ideas, right? And they're like, man, you can't do that. That's a horrible idea. Does it matter? Doesn't matter. Now, if they tell you you shouldn't do it, you tell them, or they tell you you shouldn't do it because, you know, based on the economy right now, this particular business, or based on the way you're marketing it, maybe that's not so efficient. Maybe you think turning this food truck into a restaurant, maybe this isn't the economic climate that's most effective for something like that. But can it be done? Of course it can be. Now, like I said, now you're a potential investor tells you something like that and you want to say, you know what? I think I'd rather do this without your money. I'm not feeling you. I don't want to change what I'm doing. I'm not going to change what I'm doing. I got my own plan, my own vision, my own direction, and my own ambitions. And I'm going to get there without your money. And that's fine. You could do that. Lots of people do. Or you could sit there and take it to your friends, your homies, your sisters, your cousins, your whoever, and they can tell you the same thing. They could be like, this is not the most efficient or effective way to do this. And you could be like, you know what? That's cool. I'm going to prove you wrong. You know, I'm going to make this work because this is my dream. This is my ambition, my goals. But you could also choose to take some advice, some constructive criticism, and say, you know what? Let's break that down a little bit. You said that you don't think it'll work because of my marketing strategy, right? You said you weren't feeling my name. All right, well, how married to this name am I? You said you weren't feeling my logo. You felt my logo was a little bit amateurish, right? Well, you know, I designed it this way because I was inspired by that. And they're like, yeah, but it's not really coming off the way that you think it is. All right, well, let's discuss it. Let's break it down. You can always take opinions. You can always take thoughts. See, there's got to be a balance. Now, I am firm in the idea, never, never, never say can't. Don't. And I am ambitious to my own. I've been ambitious to my own detriment before because I got so stubborn when I was younger and launched. I launched multiple businesses with partners that even my mom Even my mom said, hey, do you really think you should go into business with this person? And I was like, I think it's going to be okay. I think, you know, it's working right now, and I think it's going to be okay. And in the beginning, it was working. And then by the time it wasn't, Mama knew what she was talking about, and I got myself in too deep. Man, again. All right, so you can take people's opinions. You can take their critique and their thoughts. You can even take their wisdom and their knowledge without being broken or stifled or losing your own drive and your own ambition, losing your own goals. There's ways to take that knowledge, that wisdom that they're imparting with you and they're sharing, and you can say, hey, you know what, let me use some of that. But you can also say, hey, this is what I really want, and this is what I'm going to go after because it means something to me. Now, that's what you also got to decide for yourself, too. And I want you to really think about that. When you're building a business, is the business that you're building, does it mean something? If it's just a paycheck, it's just a paycheck. Then what you want to do is you want to come back, stop having emotions about it, and just, what's going to make me the most amount of money? What's going to make me the most amount of money, most efficiently, most productive, quickest, like all these different things. This is what you want to do. This is what you want to do, is money. But if your business, you built it because it means something to you, if it means something to you, then don't lose that meaning. There was businesses I launched years ago, and there was some of those businesses, I was really easy once they, you know, hit walls, they tanked, or my partner flaked out on me. It was really easy for me to let go because I didn't care. All I was trying to do was make some money, and those started costing me money. Once they started costing me money, I was like, you know, it's time for me to, I'm out, you know what I mean? And you gotta be that way. You gotta be willing to be that way, because there was a couple of times where I was like, no, I can make this work still. I can still make this work. And I fought and I put more money in, and I fought and put more money, and I fought and put more money in. And I was like, I was so determined to win that I was holding myself back and I was losing. One of my posts recently, just posted the other day, L, man. L's not always for loss, man. L needs to be for learning. And you can take an L and learn. Just don't lose. It's okay to learn. You gotta be learning, okay? You've got to be willing to step back and see the error of your ways, and that something of your business isn't working. And what could you restructure? How could you do it differently? It's not that your business can't be done. It's not that your idea can't be built or be put into use. It's that maybe it needs to be tweaked a little. Maybe you need to build it up a little bit. Maybe you need to work on it. Maybe you need to market it. Maybe you need to, there's a lot of maybes, possibilities in different scenarios and situations, no matter what you're doing, what company you're trying to launch or take in a new direction or elevate. There could be so many different things that are coming into play, and you got to figure it out. You got to figure out what it is that you need and how it is that you're going to get it to get off the ground. And when it comes down to it, like I said, you've got to determine whether this is just about money, which I'll tell you right now, most of these businesses need to be just about money. But if you got something that's in your heart, it's a passion, man, I'll never stifle that. There's definitely business that I'm building based on my family, and those are near and dear to my heart. And you know what? They're not going to be broken. But because they're so important to me, I'm also willing to be flexible in how I market it and how I design certain things and different things I implement, because it's so important that they do not fail. You got to figure out what it means to you and what's most important to you, what's driving you to do this, where your business is at. If you haven't launched it yet, man, sky's the limit, baby. But if you've already launched your business, where has it come? What stage is it in now? Where is it going? What's next? You need to figure these things out and be willing be willing to do what it takes to get it there. There is no can't. It don't exist. It's only what you're not willing to do to make it happen. All right, I got love and respect for all of y'all. I appreciate every last one of y'all who tune in and stay coming back. And I appreciate y'all's comments, y'all's feedbacks, the people who've reached out to me. Y'all know where to find me. It's your boy, Corey B. Y'all find me. Y'all leave your comments, leave your likes. Hit that subscribe button, ding your bell, get your notification. Man, till next time, man, y'all go get cocky. Y'all have a blessed day. And let's just get it popping. It's your boy, and I'm out.